we're going to be underway very, very shortly. And a nice start immediately by Rick Drazen. And Rick Drazen got the early advantage over Bas Lammers. Rick Drazen from Bas Lammers and Marco Ardigo, the 1, 2 and 3 as we go up the hill. Rick Drazen, Bas Lammers and Marco Ardigo remain the 1, 2 and 3. And I think that might have been the Zanardi kart of Rick Drazen that I was mistaking early on, but no doubt about it that Rick Drazen is the race leader. Just thinking about it when I was saying early on, Jonathan Tonon, I think in 4th place, or 5th place, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 4th place. Rick Drazen you see, Bas Lammers you see, Marco Ardigo you see, they are the 1, 2 and 3, and I think that's Jonathan Tonon in kart number 3 in 4th place. And there goes a move by Bas Lammers, but he doesn't go through with it. Bas Lammers just making the gesture to try to pass Rick Drazen, but not going through with the move. And this time again, Bas Lammers is pointing out the strategy that he's got, which is no hanging about, get to the front as soon as you can. Marco Ardigo in 3rd place, Jonathan Tonon in 4th, and those 4 detached a little bit from Ben Hanley in 5th place. This is Rick Drazen being, well, it's not Rick Drazen there, it's Jonathan Tonon, but Rick Drazen coming under massive pressure from Bas Lammers. Marco Ardigo equally tight on Bas Lammers, and Marco Ardigo goes through Bas Lammers. So of all the hard work that Bas Lammers did to try to get a shot at Rick Drazen, he's left the door open, and Marco Ardigo has driven through what was a very big gap, looking to try to get on the inside of Rick Drazen, and Drazen having to close him down. And Ardigo does take the lead, but Drazen takes it back. Ardigo and Drazen, 1 and 2, and Bas Lammers gets amongst them as well. It's a fabulous start to this KZ race. All 5 of these, because Tonon in 5th place is very much in the mix, and so is Ben Hanley. In fact, I think Ben Hanley's up there in 4th. There is kart number 17, Ben Hanley, being the recipient of a little bit of heavy duty. But Rick Drazen feeling the heat, and Bas Lammers looking for the gap, and Rick Drazen saying, I know where you're going, Bas, but I'm going to shut the door. And he does. This is lap 3 of 25. We've started this final like an express train. Rick Drazen of Belgium leads. Bas Lammers of Netherlands in 2nd place. Marco Ardigo back in 3rd. In fact, that isn't Marco Ardigo. So where is Marco? Not seeing Marco. Kart number 8 there, Jordan Lennox Lamb. Now, where is Marco? Marco Ardigo is in 6th place. Didn't see how he dropped back to 6th. One of the few little pieces of action that our camera didn't pick. And there's not many of those. We've brought all the best of the close racing action. And here's more. Rick Drazen in the lead from Bas Lammers in 2nd place. 3rd place driver Jonathan Tonon. So it's an all Benelux affair in the front 3. Drazen holding off the challenge of Bas Lammers. Bas Lammers, a very forceful driver. You saw the gear change there, the shifter change, the downshift, and there's the move by Bas Lammers, and it's not going to be defended, I don't think. It is by Rick Drazen. It's the counter punch by Rick Drazen. So Bas Lammers getting on the inside, and Rick Drazen saying, well, I'll come on the slingshot, and and a little bit of contact there to say the least. And Bas Lammers drops to 3rd, and Jonathan Tonon is now the race leader. Bas Lammers going past Ben Hanley up into 2nd place. So much passing and repassing, hard to keep pace with them. Kart number 8 is Jordan Lennox Lamb, not mentioned him a lot, but he's well and truly in the mix there in that CRG in kart 8. This is lap 5. He's in front of kart 9, Rick Drazen. So Rick Drazen, having been in the lead for a long time, it all went wrong. Well, I can't say it all went wrong. It just found that something had to give, and the give was his grip on the lead. Bas Lammers in kart number 4. Jordan Lennox Lamb in 2nd place. In 3rd place. Jonathan Tonon, Bas Lammers and Jordan Lennox Lamb. Rick Drazen in 4th. We saw there some of our replays. Marco Ardigo came back a place from 6th to 5th. Well, our instant replay's really good there. It's Jordan Lennox-Lamb you're looking at. You see Rick Drazen looking over his right shoulder, and you see just how that unfolded. Jonathan Tonon, in the meantime, though, has built his lead. 7/10 of a second on Bas Lammers. We're on lap 6 of 25, so heading to the quarter race distance. Jonathan Tonon 1, Bas Lammers 2, Jordan Lennox-Lamb 3, Rick Drazen 4, Marco Ardigo 5, Flavio Camponeschi 6, Jorit Peck 7, David Foré 8, Ricardo Negro 9, and Ben Hanley into the top 10 at number 10. Just outside of the top 10, Yannick de Brabender of Belgium and Paolo De Conto of Italy. On lap 7, Jonathan Tonon setting the fastest lap at 50.157, so clearly the track is now in fast mode. 50.15 second. We've had drivers in the 49s down to the 49.7s, but 50.1 is pretty swift this Sunday afternoon. Rick Drazen being pursued by Marco Ardigo here. This is the battle for 4th and 5th. Little bit detached behind Ardigo is Flavio Camponeschi in 6th place in kart 14. This is the race leader, Jonathan Tonon, driving the Praga. Drives a Praga chassis powered by the Perilla motor. And of course, driving for the Praga kart racing team out of the Czech Republic. Jonathan Tonon himself, a French-speaking Belgian. We're on lap 8. Bas Lammers, a Dutch-speaking Dutchman in kart number 4. Driving the Formula Kart Perilla. The Formula K Perilla, I should say, Formula K. Jonathan Tonon, that Praga livery looks very attractive in the paddock, stationary, but it looks good in race condition too, doesn't it? And you see quite a margin that Jonathan Tonon's got. It's 0.87 of a second, and half a second in favour of Bas Lammers over Jordan Lennox-Lamb in 3rd place. So although we're seeing some close racing, it's not as close as it was by a long chalk. There is Rick Drazen in 4th place, trying to chase down Jordan Lennox-Lamb in 3rd place in kart 8. Jordan Lennox-Lamb didn't feature too strongly in the preliminaries, it would have to be said, but he doesn't do badly when it's Sunday afternoon and the final comes around, does he? Rick Drazen then, just in front of Marco Ardigo. Marco Ardigo in 5th place. That front-running 5 just stretched themselves out a little now, haven't they? This is the best of the action, the battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th, which is Jordan Lennox-Lamb 3rd in kart number 8. Behind him, Rick Drazen in kart number 9, 4th, and behind him, Marco Ardigo, kart number 1, running in 5th place. We're on lap 10, and there goes a move by Rick Drazen past Jordan Lennox-Lamb, and Jordan Lennox-Lamb taking a bit of a tag, and Marco Ardigo putting pressure on as well, but I think that Jordan Lennox-Lamb has avoided any further damage. He loses a place to Rick Drazen, but he has stopped Marco Ardigo going past. Fastest lap there to Ben Hanley, 49.873, and there you saw that rather tight manoeuvre, but it was survived by Jordan Lennox-Lamb, albeit at the price of a loss of a place, but not the loss of more than one place. Rick Drazen then in kart number 9 in 3rd place on lap 10. Only Bas Lammers in front of him and Jonathan Tonon in front of everybody. Saw the downshift there by Marco Ardigo. Still got a good margin of 0.8 of a second over 6th place driver Flavio Camponeschi. So Marco Ardigo here in kart number 1, not really anxious about the driver behind him. Oh, and Marco Ardigo isn't out of the race. Marco Ardigo does have a problem and just tours to the side of the circuit in 5th place on lap 11. Marco Ardigo, the winner of the pre-final, the winner of the final in Genk in round 1, coming into this race as the championship leader, goes out on lap 11 when he was in 5th place. So that promotes Flavio Camponeschi up to 5th, Jorit Peck's up to 6th, Ben Hanley up to 7th, but bad luck to Marco Ardigo. Jonathan Tonon is the driver you see in your screenshot now, and his lead is over a full second, 1.125 of a second, and Jonathan Tonon clicking into high gear now, and I'm talking metaphorically as well as literally. Again, with the KZs, you do see the shifter work that we don't see, of course, in the KF classes or the Academy Trophy. It does make for some interesting viewing when we have these fabulous pictures. WSK Promotions powering the CIK TV output, the broadcast for you. Jonathan Tonon, kart number 3 in this Praga kart. Beautiful livery, the Praga kart, and of course Jonathan Tonon's race suit matching it perfectly. So we head towards the half race distance. This is the start of lap 13. We've completed 12 laps of 25 and we're as near as so-and-so to the half race distance. So let's call it 12 and a half gone, 12 and a half to go. We're watching Bas Lammers in second place in the Formula K kart. And Bas Lammers, who started on pole position, powered by that Perilla motor. Nice shot of the Dutchman there. Former European champion, multi-champion at European level. Doesn't have a world title to his credit in terms of CIK, although he did have World Cup podiums, didn't he? Bas Lammers in kart number 4 is 1.119 seconds behind the race leader, who you briefly saw going to the bottom of your screen, which is Jonathan Tonon. Bas Lammers following Jonathan Tonon. Behind Bas Lammers, Rick Drazen into shot now, then Jordan Lennox-Lamb in 4th place. Jordan Lennox-Lamb, who was 3rd in the championship standings, 3rd at Genk. Very surprised to take 3rd place, he told me. Didn't go too well in the preliminaries here, it would have to be said. Commiserations to Marco Ardigo. We've also lost Jokke of Germany and Rasmussen of Denmark, but the big loss was Marco Ardigo going out at, I think it was lap 11, just before half race distance. Really unfortunate. Wasn't in the lead at that point, but he was in 5th place. As you can see, 3/4 of a second there between Rick Drazen and Bas Lammers, and half a second between Rick Drazen and Jordan Lennox-Lamb. Bigger margin between Jordan Lennox-Lamb and Flavio Campaneschi, something like 1.3 seconds. We're on lap 15, and Jonathan Tonon has a margin of 0.745 of a second. That's a healthy margin, as Paolo De Conto sets a fast lap of 49.69. So we're not hanging about here at Wackersdorf. 49.69. Not too many karts go round this circuit, this 1222 metre length circuit. Not many karts go round in less than 49.69 seconds. So Paolo De Conto very much not hanging about. No changes of lead in the top 20 on lap 14. Let's have a look if there's any on lap 15. Well, none in the top 5, because that's what we're watching on screen. No changes at all in the top 10, and no changes in the top 15. So it was an as you were lap 15, no changes down to the top 20. So Jonathan Tonon does have a slight change, which is his lead is a little shorter, a little less in time, a little shorter in distance. Jonathan Tonon, nice smooth driving style there. And again, our instant replay pictures show you so much of the detail, doesn't it? Doesn't have to be a passing move that we want to see, but we love to see the passing moves in replay. But there was a nice picture there in slow motion of not really that much slower motion, but of Jonathan Tonon's driving style. Here he is again, hurrying on a little bit now though, because Bas Lammers definitely getting closer. 0.660 of a second. This is coming towards the middle of lap 17. And Bas Lammers is basically in shot as Flavio Campaneschi throws in the fastest lap at 49.65. Jonathan Tonon, Bas Lammers, Rick Drazen, the 1, 2 and 3. Felice Tieni, incidentally, is out of the top 20, is in 21st place. Really don't know what's happened there. Did seem big surprise and big disappointment. Jordan Lennox-Lamb running 4th, Flavio Campaneschi 5th with that fastest lap moments ago. Ben Hanley up to 6th because he's gone past Jorit Pex. Paolo De Conto in 8th place, Jorit Pex 7th. As Paolo De Conto in 8th place is in front of Riccardo Negro 9th and Mirko Torsolini 10th. Just outside the top 10, David Foré is 11th, Emil Antonsen is 12th. But we're looking at Jonathan Tonon, has a lead of 0.77 of a second over Bas Lammers. There is Jonathan Tonon in kart number 3. Lead of 0.77 of a second. Bas Lammers and Rick Drazen. Fair little bit of daylight between them, so it isn't a case of blanket racing like we started. Couldn't have sustained that for 25 laps. Felice Tieni up now into 19th place. I think he was out in 21st place when I last looked. Anthony Abbas from the back up to 17th. He's not going to score much in championship points, but it's been a good drive. Jonathan Tonon remains the driver, in shot, in screen. And once again, we have a close action view of him. Kart number 17 there was Ben Hanley that you briefly saw in shot. Now, Bas Lammers coming under pressure from Rick Drazen. He looks over his left shoulder. It's not that Rick Drazen has made an attempt to pass, but it is the case that Rick Drazen is close enough to attempt to pass if an opportunity arose. So Jonathan Tonon out in front to the tune of 0.8 of a second, but these two battling for second and third place now. There was Jonathan Tonon. There is Bas Lammers and Rick Drazen. Jordan Lennox-Lamb still fourth. Flavio Campaneschi still fifth. Ben Hanley still sixth. Paolo De Conto has gone in sixth. And there goes, oh, there is the move by Bas Lammers, but Rick Drazen has held it off. But really good racing between these two. But Jordan Lennox-Lamb now gets closer in fourth place. And Flavio Campaneschi. Here's Rick Drazen trying to make a passing move on Bas Lammers to get that place back. And as you can see, literally side by side. Sometimes we commentators say racing side by side, wheel to wheel, when that might not strictly be literally true. But on that occasion, your television pictures confirmed it really was side by side, wheel to wheel racing. Flavio Campaneschi down to 49.5 seconds now, 49.56. Seriously fast by the driver in fourth place. He's gone past fellow CRG, he's gone past the CRG driver Jordan Lennox-Lamb in his Tony kart, and he's chasing down now Bas Lammers for that final podium place. Jonathan Tonon 1, Rick Drazen 2, Bas Lammers 3, Flavio Campaneschi 4, Jordan Lennox-Lamb 5. Well, kart number 4 there, Bas Lammers, who's been doing a lot of the hard battling, now going to have to do some defensive driving because Flavio Campaneschi is the fastest driver on the circuit. 49.562 was pretty swift. Quicker than everybody else. You saw Jonathan Tonon there in the lead, setting off on the next lap. But this battle behind him is much closer. 2.3 seconds for Jonathan Tonon. And this is lap 22 of 25. So Jonathan Tonon, dare I say it, I don't want to put the commentator's curse in, but really Jonathan Tonon ought to win this from here, barring a mega disaster, and we don't wish that on anyone. Lap 22 of 25. Jonathan Tonon, the race leader. Rick Drazen in second place, Bas Lammers in third place, Flavio Campaneschi in fourth, Jordan Lennox-Lamb in fifth, Ben Hanley in sixth, Paolo De Conte in seventh. We start another lap. That was the conclusion of lap 22. This is the start of lap 23. So 3 laps remaining to be raced, including the one that we're on now. We're here at Wackersdorf. The torrential downpour of this lunchtime has been forgotten. We've got a fabulous KZ final coming to its climax. Jonathan Tonon, as we said, don't want to put the commentator's curse, but ought to be able to bring that kart number 3 home from here, the Praga Perilla. Rick Drazen in shot there in kart number 9. Bas Lammers in shot in kart 4. Flavio Campaneschi in shot in kart number 14. This is Rick Drazen. That is Bas Lammers. That is Flavio Campaneschi. That was Jordan Lennox-Lamb. Jordan Lennox-Lamb in kart 8, getting a little bit close to Flavio Campaneschi. So we're on to lap 24 now. We're on to lap 24, and Jordan Lennox-Lamb looking for a way past Flavio Campaneschi. You can see the body language as the Englishman chases the Italian. Flavio Campaneschi had a very, very fast spell, but Jordan Lennox-Lamb now feels that he's got the measure. Jordan Lennox-Lamb is fifth. Flavio Campaneschi is fourth. It's not a race for the podium, but it is a race for championship points. Jonathan Tonon, though, in that comfortable lead in the Praga Perilla for Jonathan Tonon, driving for the Praga kart racing team out of the Czech Republic. The lead 2.468, and we set off on the final lap, and Jonathan Tonon is our driver in shot. Jonathan Tonon is from Belgium. He's driving for a Czech team, and at an early stage in this race he announced his credentials that he was going to mix it with the front runners, having started on row 4. But for the whole of the second half of this race, Jonathan Tonon pretty much controlling it at the front. Jonathan Tonon, his name on the back of his race suit, and the word Praga beneath his name, and then that gold logo. Always looks attractive, I always think so. So in the late stages of the KZ final, there's the checkered flag, there's the victory for Jonathan Tonon.